Well, at least Donaire can say he won the stare down at the weigh-in, right? When he was saying he couldn't get, Rigo wouldn't look him in his eyes, etc., etc. Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Another upset, shocking, impressive victory by Mr. Guillermo El Chaco Rigondeaux, right? I mean, this man is very impressive. Before I go any further, I want to give shouts out to the very, very few boxers or boxing writers or announcers who actually predicted that Rigo would win this fight. You know, guys, before the last couple days, I have been looking at websites and looking at boxing predictions. And I'm going to tell you, I went to 2 different boxing websites, boxingscene.com and boxingtalk.com. And out of on both websites, there will be about 8 predictions. And out of 8 predictions, they would always have only one guy who was picking Rigo. Everybody had Donaire winning this fight. Like I said, Jim Lampley, of course, he had Donaire winning, and Larry Merchant, even though they didn't want to see the fight previously, and we know why. Shots goes out to Teddy Atlas, who predicted, one of the only people who predicted that Rigo will win this fight. Shot goes out to a Cuba, who I actually did a video with. I did a full video with a Cuba that runs about 40 minutes. It'll probably be up late tonight or tomorrow. Shots go out to Donaire, who broke this fight down like he could tell the future. All right? And I'm going to be a little bit humble when it comes to my predictions. Right? You can go back and watch what I said. But one thing I will, reiterate of what I said in my last video that I did regarding Rigo versus Donaire. I said that if Donaire tries to stand in front of Rigo and he fights Rigo the way he fought everyone else, his chances of winning are almost slim and none. I said that Donaire would have a better chance getting on his bicycle and moving in the ring like a Miguel Vasquez, like De La Hoya did against Trinidad. Of course, he elected not to do that, and that became a part of his demise. Now, I can talk about the knockdown. The knockdown was, of course, the only, and that was the only thing that Donaire accomplished in the entire fight. But even the knockdown, it was somewhat a watered-down knockdown. It was somewhat of a dud because Donaire, he got frustrated. He kind of tied up Rigo, or I won't say he initiated the tie up, but they got into a tie up, and Rigo being the type of gentleman that he is, Rigo, he'll stand there and he won't throw a punch. He'll wait for the referee to break it up, and of course Donaire, he took advantage of that. And he caught Rigo with a shot, knocked him off balance, never hurt him, because when he got up, Rigo went right back to business, right? I mean, guys, what Rigo did tonight was highly, highly impressive, very impressive, because you have to take into consideration Rigo did this with 11 fights, right? Now, understand something. You go back and you read the comments on all my videos. This was the main reason people were saying, oh, Donaire is not ducking Rigo. Rigo is just not ready for Donaire. Rigo only has 11 fights. He doesn't have enough fights. How is a guy with 11 fights, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? This is the whole thing, guys. This makes the victory even that much more impressive. Did you guys look at the size difference when Donaire was in the ring with Rigo? It looked like Donaire versus Arce, realistically. I mean, Rigo was in there with a rehydrated giant. And Donaire won gracefully. Oh, man, beautiful, beautiful. Footwork, ring generalship, tremendous hand speed, showed heart. You know, it was one of the early rounds, I think the second or the third round, where Donaire, he landed his signature punch, the left hook. And it kind of got Donaire's attention. It kind of got Rigo's attention, knocked him off balance a little bit. And what did Rigo do? Rigo went toe-to-toe and came right back and caught Donaire with a monstrous left hand, right? And I told you guys also, I said in one of my previous videos about this, I said we know how Rigo will respond when he gets hurt. When he was hurt against American, he was calm. He kept his composure. He continued to win the round even after he got hurt, right? And I said to you guys, how will Donaire respond? How will Donaire respond when he gets hurt? And I think we've seen a little of that in that 12th round. In the 12th round, Donaire knew that he was way down on the scorecards. He knew he had to do something dramatic. And what happened? What happens? He ends up getting caught with something dramatic. It was Rigo who ends up doing something dramatic, which is probably cracking Donaire's orbital bone, just like Margarito fractured his orbital bone, just like a couple other fighters have fractured theirs, right? The whole thing is, this was a perfect A+ performance, right? It was a perfect performance. You know, I don't want to talk too much about what I've already talked about in the other video that I just, like I said, did, but well, I guess I might as well just talk. Look, man, the excuses that people come up with are ridiculous, but now they will be completely irrelevant. You cannot make any excuses. I know people will to try to make themselves feel better, but you can't make any excuses. People can't even make an excuse and say, oh, well, you know, Rigo, all he did was run and whatever, and he didn't engage. You can't even use that excuse. Harold Letterman, one of the most biased judges by far, even Harold Letterman said, and you guys can go back, it's at the beginning of round 7. Harold Letterman starts off as the round opens up, and he says, I got this fight a shutout. Rigo is the only fighter engaging. He said, Donaire is not doing anything but walking around with his mouth open. This is exactly what Harold Letterman said. So you can't even use the excuse that Rigo didn't engage. And even if you want to say that, then you have to explain how is it Rigo landed more punches than Donaire did. Okay? Now, if you could say he was running and he was landing more punches, then you gotta give Rigo even more props, because that's damn near impressive. That is damn impressive. Excuse me, guys. Right? That is very damn impressive. If you could be moving like that and still landing more punches, you guys understand, man. Every single thing that Rigo does is impressive to a T. I was showing my kids, like I said, you know, I was rewinding certain parts that I was watching when I looked at the footwork. Like when Rigo would move around the ring so gracefully. He would act like I just said in the, my video I just did, it was like basketball crossovers, He knew exactly where he wanted to be in the ring. He controlled Donaire like a puppet. Donaire had no clue. Right? Looked like one of them kung fu movies where, the student was coming to class for the first day, right? His first day in class, and the master was just teaching him all kind of shit. That's what Rigo was doing. He mastered Mr. Donaire. So yeah, like I said, I'm basically trying not to talk about too much that I've already talked about, but this was a great performance by Mr. Rigo. I'm happy for someone like Rigo who had to escape his own country, leave his whole family behind. Something that he has been doing his whole life, boxing. Something that he has been good at his whole entire life, and he was never getting compensated for it. He was never getting paid for it. He was never able to live the lavish life you know, and now all of a sudden, you know, he's living the dream that all great Cuban fighters who live in Cuba right now want to experience, right? He just beat pound for pound one of the best fighters in the world, and he did it so damn easily. He did it effortlessly. Matter of fact, when I go back and look at it, I think the Donaire, I think the Rigo versus Marican fight was actually more competitive than this fight was. Right? I mean, don't get me wrong, man. Donaire is a beast. And that was probably the best looking Donaire that we have seen. And he still got shut out. Right? He still got shut out. So, you know, like I say, man, shots goes out to everyone who called this fight right. This is really another sad day for the Manny Pacquiao fans, the Nonito Donaire fans, who continue to tell me that Donaire was going to win this fight easy and Rigo wasn't ready and all that stuff you guys talked about when it comes to talking about how Rigo wasn't ready. He only had 11 fights. Do you guys know you guys helped to make this victory even that much more impressive? Because he did it, in your words, with 11 pro fights. In your words, them 400 amateur fights don't mean nothing because the amateurs ain't the pros, right? So, and like I said, for all the people who want to make excuses of why your guy lost, just remember this. You guys weren't making those excuses before the outcome. You weren't making those excuses before the outcome. You were telling me and everyone else that Donaire was going to win under any circumstances. I got one guy who kept sending me messages talking about how, you know, Rigo, he ain't ready and he going to get his ass whooped and he ain't fought nobody, et cetera, and all he's going to do is run and et cetera. And I remember sending a message to one guy saying, well, for your sake, you better hope to God Rigo doesn't run, because if he does start to run, then Donaire has no chance, because Donaire don't know how to cut off the ring. He don't know how to adjust like that, right? Donaire is a flashy fighter, but he doesn't have the substance to go with that flashiness, right? He's flashy, but he doesn't have all of the tools, all of the slick tools, all of the sweet science tools that you need to apply against a fighter as great as, like I said in my last video, the chess king, Rigo, right? I said it. If Rigo moves in the ring, Donaire really has no chance, right? So, like I said, you can't make any excuses. The guy I said that to, he said, he responded to me saying that, and he was basically saying, even if Rigo runs, Donaire is still going to beat him because, Rigo doesn't throw the jab. Rigo doesn't throw the jab, so that's the reason why Donaire is going to beat him, right? So I can't wait to hear the excuses now. I bet you that same person will send me a message and say, it was because Rigo was moving. Like I said, man, if you want to be a complete fighter, you have to be able to beat every different single style there is. You can't say, I'm the best fighter in the world, provided you put someone right in front of me and tell them to put their hands down so that I can hit them, right? It doesn't work that way. You got to be able to beat the slick fighter, the boxer, the runner, the tactician, the slugger. You know what I'm saying? You have to be able to beat all of these different type of fighters. If you cannot beat them all, you are not a complete fighter. All right? So that's really all I got to say about this one. And like I said, I'll catch up with you guys. You guys definitely going to hear more, me talking more about this video. I'm on to the next one, y'all.